UPSC mains GS3 paper completed, and this GS3 consists of economic development, science and technology, security issues, disaster management, environment. There are 20 questions and each question carries 10 marks and you have to write answer in 150 words. Let's see the first question. The first question is, examine the pattern and trend of public expenditure on social services in post-reform period in India. To what extent this has been in consonance with achieving the objective of inclusive growth. The demand of the question is how the pattern and trend of public expenditure on social services changed after reform period, that is after 1991, after we actually went into LPG era. This is the thing. From the last 33-34 years, how our social service expenditure is there, what is the pattern and trend, and whether it actually reached our target of inclusive growth. This is the need of the question, demand of the question. So I wish to tell you, in 1995, our social spending, if you compare with our GDP, it is 8.1%. Now it is almost 25-26%. Our healthcare spending during 1991 is not even 0.3%. Now it is 1.9% of GDP. Our spending on education is, at that time it is 1.4%. Now it is 2.9%. Similarly, if you observe, 30 years back, our child mortality rate is 83 per 1000 births, whereas now it is 28. And MMR at that time is 384 per 1 lakh live births. Now it is 89. If you see the tremendous change in trend and also pattern, before 1991, most of the schemes are central sector. Now, government is mostly focusing on centrally sponsored. They are making state governments also as partners in developmental progress of the country. Even in the state level, for example, recently Orissa started Subhadra Yojana. Even state is actually planning its own policy interventions for the welfare of the people. And certain policy interventions are also being made with PPP, public-private partnership mode. We have to write this answer in this pattern. Second question, what are the causes of persistent high food inflation in India? Comment on the effectiveness of the monetary policy of the RBI to control this type of inflation. This is a question. The demand of the second question, that is for food inflation, is recently, yes, there is a high food inflation. The reasons are, number one, wars, supply chain disruptions. More importantly, if you see, monsoon effects. And more than that, if you can observe, farmers' protests. All these things led to high food inflation in India. RBI maintained neutral stance with respect to rates and open market operations. RBI enhanced open market operations. And more importantly, RBI also tried to stabilize the Indian rupee. All these things are the steps to control food inflation in India taken by RBI. Third question, what were the factors responsible for the successful implementation of land reforms in some parts of the country? Elaborate. We all know that after independence, the first step the government have taken is to introduce land reforms. Particularly, land reforms are highly successful in West Bengal and Kerala. And the factors responsible for the land reforms are 9th Schedule, Land Ceiling Acts, Benami Transaction Acts, and later on, now we can see tenancy control, rent controls, land redistribution programs, and more importantly, if you observe, digitization of land records, ULIP program, all these things. But still, complete land reforms is a distant dream in India. It is not achieved, it is not highly successful. So we can make one statement, it is not completely successful. In most of the states, land reforms is a half-baked cake. Fourth question, examine the role of millets for ensuring health and nutritional security in India. Yes, millets are good for diabetic patients with low glycemic index. With the high rich presence of amino acids, more protein content. And more importantly, millets also help us in food diversification, nutrition diversification, and food availability. And millets are available throughout the year. So there won't be a supply chain disruption with respect to millets. For all these reasons, millets are very, very important for our food security and also nutritional security in India. India started National Millets Mission, and 2023 is the International Year of Millets by the UN. PM Shri Anna was also started by Government of India to promote millets. Fifth question. What is the present world scenario of intellectual property rights with respect to the life materials? Although India is second in the world to file patents, still only a few have been commercialized. Explain the reasons behind the less commercialization of patents. In this question, we need to mention about Cartagena Protocol. With respect to India, we need to mention about recent Biodiversity Amendment Act, Biodiversity Amendment Act 2023. And more importantly, why commercialization is not that progressive in India with respect to life materials. Life materials include plants, other living organisms. In India, if you observe, Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, GEAC is there. We need to take a lot of permissions, and tribal rights, local people's rights, all these rights should be protected. We are also concerned about environment, health effects, livelihood rights of the people, and biopiracy. For all these reasons, in India, we don't have excessive commercialization of for all these reasons, we are not going to excessive commercialization of life materials. The sixth question. What is the technology being employed for electronic toll collection on highways? What are its advantages and limitations? What are the proposed changes that will make this process seamless? Would this transition carry any potential hazards? See, we use RFID technology basically, FASTag, you all know that. RFID technology, radio frequency identification tag. The new technology is emerging, that is GNSS, Global Navigation Satellite System Technology, GNSS technology. In the old technology, if you see RFID technology, the advantages of RFID technology in toll collection is tracking, verification, direct line of sight, authentication, security, speed. We can do it very fast. All these things are advantages. But there is a challenge. It can actually detect a vehicle within a short distance. Long distance vehicles cannot be detected. And sometimes we can observe signal blocking problem also. But with the new technology of GNSS, this can be actually done away with. Question number 7. Industrial pollution of river water is a significant environmental issue in India. Discuss the various mitigation measures to deal with this problem and also government's initiatives in this regard. Water pollution, air pollution, soil toxicity, they are all because of industrial pollution of river water. Particularly, this is causing serious environmental damage in India. Then what are the government initiatives? We need to mention circular economy, desulfurization technology, industrial effluent treatment plants under Namami Ganga program, carbon sequestration, PAT, perform achieve trade programs, carbon markets, and also waste to wealth. All these things we need to mention in the answer. Eighth question. What role do environmental NGOs and activists play in influencing environmental impact assessment outcomes for major projects in India? Cite 4 examples with all important details. See, environmental NGOs and activists play a great role with respect to environmental impact assessments out of major projects. In Tummalpalli, Kadapa, there is a uranium mining project and you can see strong environmental activism there. And second important thing, Thoothukudi in Tamil Nadu, that Vedanta group issue, we have seen that. And third project, even long back, Tehri Dam project, there was a strong objection against that. The fourth thing, in Coorg also, many activists are fighting against constructions and projects. Fifth thing, you can take the example of Great Nicobar project. Sixth case, we can give an example, Orissa Niyamgiri Hills, where Dongriya Kond community actually fought against Vedanta company. All these things are very, very important. Ninth question, explain how narco-terrorism has emerged as a serious threat across the country. Suggest suitable measures to counter narco-terrorism. There is an act in India, Narco Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985, organized crime, drug cartels, unemployment, youth unrest, antisocial activities, and unmanaged porous borders. All these things you can add in the answer narco terrorism. In this answer, you have to relate drug trafficking and terrorism, international crimes, drug trafficking, organized crimes, and also there's a nexus between terrorism, narcotics, cross border crime, and all these things are a vicious circle and interrelated concepts. We need to explain based on that. We have an international organization, UNODC, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. You need to specially mention about that. In this answer, we should also suggest measures to counter narco-terrorism. And here we should write Operation Nasha Mukt Bharat, in Jammu Kashmir, Operation Sadbhavana, and also international coordination with respect to transboundary narco crimes. All these things we need to focus on. The 10th question. Describe the context and salient features of Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. It's a very important question. And in 2017, right to privacy was declared as fundamental right. Digital privacy is very, very important. With respect to digital personal data, already Europe have made GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations in Europe. And now in India, we have made Digital Personal Data Protection Act based on Sri Krishna Committee recommendations. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act deals with data localization, and it also discusses to what extent personal data can be shared, how the permission should be taken, who has the fiduciary relationship, if the data is breached, how to pay the compensation, and what are the fines and punishments. All these things are discussed in the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. It's very, very important. Here we should mention about right to consent, right to be forgotten, etc.